Paraphrasing the gold medal hockey winning coach Armin, I just say you continue to play your game. Throw the ball. They had success doing it in the first half. So make sure you keep getting the ball to your playmakers a little bit more to the perimeter perhaps. But above all, play your game.
Herbert going to lead up the Chargers here, 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Play action this time for Justin Herbert. Keeps himself up, and a big loss here as he's taken down.
Didn't give him points for the attempt, but there's just a wave of pressure there. A host of people in the area. Remains a few. Could have been all.
Now this one from about 2 counties over after the sack. They come up on a 2nd and very long. On the ground, it's Eckler. And he's going to lose yardage here back at the 8. Just a 1-yard loss that time, but that's not what they needed. Now they're dealing with a 3rd and long.
It always helps when you get great run support among your safeties, and when you get one who can actually read the play and get upfield and shut it down before it gets going, it's exactly what you're looking for.
And some secondary help here for the defense of the nickel on 3rd and long. Back to throw here, Herbert. That's Williams. That's right. That's right. 92 yards. And the Chargers are an extra point away from tying this thing up. A nice throw there by the senior quarterback.
And I don't believe that was the kind of play you would have made as a rookie, because usually your rookie season is a continuation of your college days. A lot of one read, and if you don't have it, you just take off and go. Now you're settled in the pocket a little bit more, reading the field and getting to a 2nd and sometimes 3rd progression. That was a nice play.
Here's Bailey now for the extra point. And that will tie our game here in the 3rd quarter. The drive there has been spanning 3 plays. And it ends with the Chargers getting into the end zone. On the scoreboard as the kicks away here. Let's take it in at the goal line. And then tackled just shy of the 25. The Cowboys offense now, they head out for their first possession of the 2nd half. Their halftime lead now evaporated. We're at the level following that touchdown a moment ago.
And that should change the mindset a whole lot from an offensive perspective, because they already knew this was going to be a hard-fought game. Now they just need to go out, execute their game plan, and keep moving.
They'll try and start this drive in the air. First out to his left. Ball's going to go deep left side. And incomplete on the deep ball.
The first thought is surprise, because that's one of the better tight ends around, and I've seen him pull in balls like this before. But how about a little credit to the defense forcing that incompletion?
They'll try again what he got here on 2nd down. Receiver and it's sack of the season season. I don't know what else can be said about this pass rush. They have been sensational. CD, that is now 6 sacks for them.
And how many times do we talk to offensive coordinators? They say a sack as a result of everyone on offense not doing their job. But let's be honest about this one. This is the offensive line. They've been teeing off all game long.
An extra quarterback now in the game for the Chargers here on third. They left to throw. Way to his right. Now that's going to wind up incomplete. Nearly the first pick of the game, but it does bring up fourth down.
That makes some applause for the defense there. They forced him to throw that one into coverage, and just like that, they're staring at a fourth down. Well done.
Out now comes the Cowboys punter, standing about a yard deep in his own end zone. He's averaging just under 50 yards a pass. He gets this away. It'll be just an 18-yard punt. And this offense, they're going to have excellent field position. They take over with a first and 10 on the short side of the field. So out come the Chargers. The last possession, these guys were able to tie the game with a touchdown. Now they'll have a chance to move out in front.
Man, let's give a big assist to the defense. They got the ball back. The special teams went out there, handled things. They got it. They got momentum. I know they're eager to get out there and put it on display.
So from the 36 now, first and 10. Now it's Herbert. Throws right side, complete to Keenan Allen. He works it past the 30, almost to the 25. Give him 10 yards there, and they'll have a nerve of football. He's going to have a first down. That's a catch of some significance. It's number 631 of his career, and why that's significant, it ties him with Hall of Famer Raymond Barry.
He was one of the most precise route runners in any position during his time in his career. So I think that we're seeing something very similar here. He may not have known Raymond Barry, but he goes about his business the same way. Understands how defenses are going to play, understands where the leverage is, and goes away from it to the tune of 631 catches.
Downfield is taken in by his running back. And taking it to the 15-yard line before he's brought down. It's a gain of 11 and a first down there.
I'll tell you, a lot of those mid-range throws have been available because sometimes teams get too concerned about the deep ball, they leave too much space open, and these guys are taking advantage so far.
Here's Edwin. And now inside the 10 as he's brought down to the 9. 88 yards for him on the ground now. He has been terrific here this afternoon.
And there's some of the downsides of considering a run down because sometimes you get out of your gaps. You don't fit the run quite as well because you're headed towards the ball carrier with abandon.
6 yards on that last play. Here's 2nd and 4. Here's Herbert. With 2 touchdowns on the season in this game, and the Chargers have taken the lead. Good throw there. Now we're going to the portion, but he looks a lot more comfortable in the second season.
You can tell him the work in the off-season, and what I mean by that is understanding the program. Not just the plays and how to execute, but how to do it against defenses. Also understands his team and get that too. You can see the confidence they're rising in him once he plays.
Here comes the return just beyond the goal line. And this will not be brought out. It's a touchback. Here's the Dallas offense now heading back out onto the field. And a tight game after punting last time. See if they can get something going on this drive.
As they head to the field now, with the game this close, you got to feel there's a sense of urgency for them going on offense right now. They have to do it without letting panic creep in.
They'll come out throwing here to start the drive. And a contested ball here that's going to be caught. Another good pickup of for 28 yards.
Good job there getting his tight end involved because he lines up on the right side of the formation, just works his way across the field. I really like how they went sync on that one. He spotted the open gap in the zone, and his quarterback found him, and they get a first down.
So from Charger territory now, here's a 1st and 10 at the 47. Now this one here's tight end out on the right side. They'll contain him to just 4. Second down. Not a big window to throw. Coverage wasn't too bad there.
Yeah, they had him under wraps pretty well, but somehow he will muscle his way open and catch the ball.
Second down and 6 now for the 42. They'll drop to throw. Now he's going to throw it deep to the other side of the field. It's caught. Touchdown. A big play there. 42 yards. And the Cowboys are an extra point away from tying the football game. He put quite a bit of air underneath that touchdown pass. Of course, we knew that he had the strong arm.
That part was easy. You can see that throughout his college career. But what you want to know about a rookie is when the pressure's on, can you throw and touch? He just did right there. And boy, it was pretty.
Point after, right down the middle. And it will tie our game here in the 3rd. Scoring summary, 3-play drive. And it culminates in a Dallas touchdown. Ball square here in this 3rd quarter as the kicks away. No return here from Westbrook. This will be touchback. Still Eckler and the Charger offense reclaimed center stage. Responsible for well over 100 yards of total offense, but still hasn't found the end zone. You think that's in the back of his mind going into this drive?
It's always in the back of the mind of the players having that type of a day because you want that gratification for your work, right? You want that stamp on top of everything. But bottom line for him, he's doing great work. Sometimes it just opens it up for other people to actually get into the end zone for him.
The runners, you know, they'd rather have 60 yards, 3 touchdowns, or 150 no touchdowns.
I think more than likely 150 and no touchdowns. But all the runners that I know would say, I'll take 150 and 3 touchdowns.
2 yards to loss, 2nd and 12.
Sometimes you just sit back and marvel at what he can do defensively. Speed, strength, quickness. He's the whole package, and that package just wrapped up the runner for a loss.
Well, the opening play of the drive goes backwards. Now they'll come up on 2nd and 12. Herbert now. First up to the ball. That is Saints on it. They couldn't seal the deal.
Oh man, that was close. The opportunity to change momentum. Big play right in his hands. Unable to come down with it.
A sigh of relief, no doubt, on offense, and that fell harmlessly to the ground. An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on 3rd down. Herbert. To the right side here is Allen. And he's going to come up a bit short. He needed to get to the 35 for the first, but he only makes it to the 34. They'll get 11, but still a little short. 4th down.
On 3rd down, you give them that. You just want to make sure that you play the first down line. And we're able to get him down.
Here's Matt Buncherman as he's on to punt for L.A. He's 37 yards there on the punt. And out of the offense as they take over. Here again comes the captain of this offense, leading his crew back out there now. How do you break down his game so far? Just the one touchdown pass, but sometimes the touchdown pass stat category, that doesn't tell the whole story.
It really doesn't, not until you balance it with the error side. You know, and in this case, he hasn't thrown any interceptions. So a lot of people would call this almost like a pedestrian game, kind of a bus driver game. That's just really wrong. Being a bus driver is a good thing if you're running a football team. But that means you're in control and you're taking your team to the right places.
Let's see what that's about. So a costly penalty yardage-wise is out of the football down to the spot of the foul.
And what the officials are looking for in these situations, whether you're playing the man or the ball. And if you're playing the man, you get a lot less leeway in terms of what's going to happen in the end of the play. If you're looking for the football, it's less likely to draw the play.
Second and 10. They'll take the throw. That comes in as Edward falls incomplete. Let's see this what's the deal, Doc? Trying to defend the out route there, get the PI call.
And you know what's difficult about that one is sometimes you want to make the undercut move and go for the football, and other times just want to hang on the upfield shoulder and make the tackle, and you get caught in between and create a foul.
Well, look at the throw now on first down. He's going to let this go. Back in the end zone. And this is caught by Calvin. Touchdown. There was a lot of zip on that pass, and baseball might have called that a frozen rope.
I like it when you bring the diamond into the game. I'm going back to the gridiron. Had some heat on that bad boy. Sometimes you throw a touchdown pass, and sometimes
you throw, what, a touchdown strike?
There you go. That's my man. Get concept.
And now, of course, all scoring plays are reviewed, and extra long. They're taking a peek at whether or not those feet were in bounds, and obviously a big call here in the end zone.
And not just the feet. How about the hands? How's the ball possessed? On the feet are hopefully getting down in bounds. That's what they're trying to look at to see if it all comes together.
So they had it right. Now comes the kicking team here for the extra point. And they will take a 7-point lead now. Pretty clean and simple there. Just 2 plays of the long pass resulting in the touchdown on play number 2. The good team out there, the Cowboys, as they run up to send this one away. Offensive mates. And this is how the game has trended for him numbers-wise. He's really picked it up. And I got to be honest, I don't know schematically. This is where I need you. What does the defense need to do to get back to that start that they had on him?
You got to harass him early in his route. Right off the line of scrimmage, someone needs there. So it's not going to be a free release, but he just gets into the route so easily. Because once he builds up momentum and speed, forget it, you're done. Knock him off of that, chip away timing. Make sure you have the second person there in the vicinity as well. They're too big and too strong usually for one person to get there. They're keeping that one, that's complete. And up to the 35 before they're able to knock him down. That'll be a game that seems to start to line out by a few inches. That'll be a first down. It's offensive game plan. It's just been sensational. I mean, when you think about all the different ways the younger receivers open so far, it's really been impressive. Scheme, design, execution.
out to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. Here's Herbert. Over the middle, it's Williams. A 10-yard pickup, and it's enough for a Charger first down.
That's a nice catch there. Remember, he had the fumble earlier. No way he was giving up the ball in that situation. Secured it tight to his body and picks up the first down.
Back-to-back good plays have him on the move on first down. They'll run it here with that one. And down he goes at the 49, a 3-yard pickup.
That's just a pile of bodies there. That's when you kind of find out who's a tough guy, right? Who can stand up and make a play. It's only a 3-yard run. Both sides have to walk away from that field like, okay, I can stand up when we go and get stuff in here.
Second and 7. Once more, here's Eckler. And this time they were ready for him as they stop him right at the line of scrimmage. Now they're staring at a 3rd and 8. That last play backwards a yard.
That was well played there defensively. 2 tight ends in the formation, which essentially gave them 7 blockers up front. Hard to imagine with all that size and beef that they could let a tackler through. But that's exactly what happened. Our loss resulted.
Gonna throw on 3rd down with Herbert. He's back to the right side, Williams. And they'll bring him down right at midfield, and he is way short of the first down. 2 yards is all they'll get on the completion. It's 4th down.
What hallmark of good defenses? It's understanding the game, understanding positioning, and tackling immediately in the secondary after catches. I think we just saw that on display right there.
Got to him before he ever had a chance to think about turning it upfield. Here's Matt Bosher now. They'll put it away from about his 35. This is a right, but boy, headed straight to the sidelines. Not too shabby. Here's a start out bounds around the 12-yard line. Now comes his big general once more, leading his offense back onto the field. And the yardage just continues to pile up. We're still in the 3rd quarter. He's had a heck of a game.
Keep your calculator handy because these numbers are skyrocketing. Loving watching what he's doing right now because who we calling in the zone?
Yeah, he's in the zone.
I think he's in the zone plus right now. Everything is like a laser.
See if he can stay in that zone. We're down at the 12. It's 1st and 10. Now back to throw. Quarterback Charles3rd right in his right-handed. Is there one that maybe really sticks in his pocket?
I think so. Jeff, remember with young quarterbacks, it may take a few years before they get all the stuff out of them that they did earlier in their career or even in their college days when they were used to being dominant. In this case, the NFL veteran defense ended up winning the battle.
They'll try to run it. 2 yards on the pickup there. It'll be 2nd and 8.
It's certainly a nice job there by the defense rallying to the football, getting him up and grab. And I think the play gets it's made by the defensive front. Because if they can't get upfield, their job is to go ahead and get low, almost get into a wall sometimes, stack things up, and make it difficult for the runner to find a hole.
The last one good for 2. Here's 2nd and 8. Looking to throw. The 29-yard line. That, Charles, the first interception he's thrown here in year number 2.
And I know it's just the first one, but didn't it feel like what we saw from him last year? He was plagued by this type of a play. And it thought that, over the offseason, going into a second season, some of that would go away. Thus far, it still looks a lot like his rookie year.
They go back to the air here after the INT on the last drive. As he throws there, incomplete. Not his best throw there, but there he's sitting right now in the third quarter. He's had a pretty good game throwing the football.
He certainly has, and it's not exactly the point where we're doing 4-minute offense yet, but they got to think about milking the clock, but understand clock management here on that.
That is no clock offside. And he'll be taken down, but not before they work it across midfield. 22 yards there, a first down.
That was a fun one to watch right there. Nice in-breaking route and running over the middle of the field. And he was able to get behind the linebackers and grab the completion for a really good pickup.
Here on first down. Now on the run, they'll throw it back deep over the middle. A double team that's intercepted. By receiver Armin. And a big turnover there as his guys will get the football back. Holding on to lead at this stage in the second half. Those are the types of plays you really want to try and stay away from.
And when you're a rookie, keeping your focus is something that you still have to work on all the time because there's so many distractions around you. Your ground noise, and your coaches, and your teammates. But the other part, you got to learn how to finish. It's the 2 F's for a rookie quarterback.
After the turnover, here's Herbert. He was looking for Mike Williams that time. Bring up second down. They don't get the hook up there, but you really have to marvel at how precise he's been throwing the football these last couple of weeks.
Oh, that's a perfect word for it, precise, because if you're at 70% or better 2 weeks in a row, you have a job as long as you want one in this league, won't you? I mean, let's face it, it's not just West Coast offense either. He's putting the ball down the field as well.
2nd and 10, here's Herbert once more. Jared Cook, the tight end, was the target. Got down to the 3rd down.
Well, so far in this drive, they've done some good work. They forced incompletions on 1st and 2nd down, bring up 3rd and 10. That brings up the big question. Do they bring pressure or do they play coverage on this down?
These guys have punted 4 times already, and they're staring at a 5th, barring a conversion here on 3rd down. Out of the gun, and Herbert. Now he can paint to Cook. Well, this is going to depend on the spot, but it's not a very generous one. It's going to be about a yard or so short. They do get 9, which leads to 4th down.
I think that call was made not so much to try and get the 1st down, although they would have taken it if they could have gotten it, but to get their punter a little bit of space and try to get
the safe completion on 3rd. Here's Matt Bosher now, standing just outside his own goal line. And he deserves a bronze leg as he gets this one away. Return it here for the regular 1-yard punt given fine on the return. And possession will switch hands, 1st and 10. Now the Cowboys offense heads back onto the field. And following the interception, just any interception, are you a little bit more cautious when you start that next drive, or no, you just throw that out the window?
I think you are. I don't think that there's any way you can run back out there and go, totally didn't affect me. It's just going to be loose with the football again. You're going to take care of it, but you have to be careful of not being too cautious because now you can't let it in. The defense rolls sack number 6 now for him on the year. Offensively, they're going to have to figure this out for next week. 7 sacks in one game. Yeah, that's more than any quarterback should have to bear. And if this continues on, there will be another quarterback in the game because no one can stand up to this week after week.
That huge loss of the sack makes this job much more difficult. It's now 2nd down and 22 yards to go. Steps away. And he's got it. Got his man on the end round. Complete. It'll be a pickup at 15. It's now lead to 3rd down. And on that last play there, he's over 400 yards passing now.
You know what that generally means?
Success.
That, and it means you really didn't miss opportunities. Usually very accurate. The ball's getting to the right place. Guys are making yardage after the catch. I mean, the whole team's that means the offensive line's like pass protector.
Everyone dialed in. And this is incomplete. Looked like he had pretty good line on that, but that's a really big play. But he could not pull it in.
And that's a really good job there defensively. They went into this possession knowing that they needed to get a stop. They're in a tight ball game, and they got it done. Great work to force the 3 and out. Got the football right back for their offense. They got to go to the sidelines feeling pretty good about themselves and encouraging with their offensive mates to get some points.
And the Chargers coming out of the field now. These guys had to punt their last possession, and that's become too familiar of a refrain. Too many of these drives just wound up going nowhere.
But you know how in baseball, when the pitcher gets a base hit and he's on base, they bring his jacket out to him and keep him warm? A lot of times the punter goes to the sideline, puts on sweatpants or a wrap over his leg to keep him warm. He might need a massage from the trainer right now from all the work he's getting.
Herbert and the Chargers now with a 1st and 10 at the 20. Now Herbert with it, looking to pass. Throw outside to 27 on the catch and run.
Quarterbacks love snap-outs because the receivers are bringing it right into their line of vision, and receivers won't be enough because they're getting the ball on the move and able to catch it and try and get upfield and gain additional yardage.
Start the drive, has him up near midfield here for 1st and 10. And they'll run on the inside handoff. And they'll lose yardage on the play back at the 45-yard line. 2 yards to loss, 2nd and 12.
Overall, I'd have to say that was just really good team defense because to me, you can't pin that one on the running back. He had no shot there. Get a man in his face immediately.
Behind the chain, 2nd and 12. It's Eckler again. 3rd down, now even tougher. 3rd and 13 after that loss of a yard.
And that's exactly what offenses try to avoid by using motion and throwing different formations up. They hate when you can throw a beat on the play, get a running start, and make a big play behind the line of scrimmage as he did just there.
plays go backwards. So what's the call on 3rd and 13 now? And that whistle's in. We're going to jump here. Jumping all the way to the outside, maybe getting over the
and the only time it makes sense to get that penalty is exactly as you described. Otherwise, he should never get that penalty.
Jumping jelly beans for Rocky. The kid is hyperactive.
The penalty helps a bit, but still 8 yards to go on 3rd down for this offense. Justin Herbert looking to pass. This is swung out to Eckler. Certainly not what they wanted there. No gain, and it's 3rd down.
Excuse my snarkiness here, but isn't the idea of completing a pass supposed to mean you get downfield and gain yards?
Especially on 3rd down.
Yeah, now they have to figured that one out in a big way. Yeah, they completed it all right, then lost yardage.
There's Matt Bosher now, as they're forced to kick for the 6th time today. The Cowboys will get backed up to start the drive. They'll have it 1st and 10. And now Dallas gets set to take the field. This crew had fun last time they had the ball, but when you've got a lead like this, you can tend to play the field position game.
You are to an extent, especially if you like your defense, because you have the lead and you're controlling the game. But why put them in a tougher spot? You want to get out there and get some of your all-out offense and maybe take command of this game yourself.
Drive complete over the middle. And he's going to get this one across the 30-yard line. That's a good way to start the drive. 17 yards and a 1st down.
As they began this drive, I was wondering how they were going to attack since they're playing with the lead. Will they continue to try and push the ball downfield? We'll have to...
You know, H-T-Bomb is playing it dangerous. He's taunting Boza. When he throws a football, he's right. He was basically right in the face of Boza. Number 97. Boza was around where 71. He was like, he got right beside him, taunting Boza. And Boza just walks away like, whatever, boy, whatever. And HT Bomb is like, I got your number, Boza. I got your number. Bomb versus Boza. And right there, Bomb won the fight.
It appears that the answer is yes.
From the 32 now, here's 1st and 10. Play fake, he'll look to throw. He's going to throw it back deep over the middle. And this is dropped. It's going to be a big game.
He did it again. Oh my gosh, he's taunting. He's taunting Boza. Look at him right there. Oh, how... He's like saying, I got your number, Boza. Boom. He goes right up to him. I mean, damn. How reckless can he get? And Boza's like, oh yeah? Basically kicks him. Look at that. Gives him a kick.
Science did not reel it in. Third quarter of a tight football game as we come up on a 2nd and 10. They'll look to throw. They're on to its left. And now he'll let this one go deep. Back over the middle. And it's knocked away here for Brady.
Finally, good play there defensively on the deep ball. The secondary's had its struggles this entire game. Offensively, it's delayed.
An important play right here, 3rd and 10.
And now it is great pressure here.
Dancing to his left. And that nearly the hook that they needed. He couldn't pull it in though, and it's 4th down.
Probably the way this offense is marched up and down the field during this game, it's almost a surprise to see an incomplete pass on 3rd down, isn't it?
And they have had their foot on the gas all game long, but here finally stalling out. The punt team on now as this one's set away. So possession goes over here on the left. And it'll be Charger football here as they take over. Chargers offense back onto the field. And our game's hit a little bit of a lull here, a little bit of a snag. Punts on back-to-back drives.
And old school coaches don't necessarily mind that. Didn't turn it over, right? Didn't create a big play for the other team. Right now what you're looking for is can you gain an advantage in field position? And that's what both teams are seeking right now.
Yeah, they'll be seeking to gain that advantage here on this drive. Porter going to lead up the Chargers here, 1st and 10. And they're on 27. And he's going to go down.
My just bring them over the edge. How about the gambling man who's a defensive coordinator? He's not.
Damn, son, Baraki. Jumping jelly beans. This kid is... basically taunting the Chargers.
Pressure. He's bringing the corner to go after the quarterback.
And it's worked twice now, twice like a charm.
And not only has that worked like a charm, he's been awfully disruptive in his usual role covering receivers. Now he's rushing the passer as well.
Work to be done here on 2nd and 16 after the sack. Another try after the first down sack. At his size, he's a smaller back. You can get him the football. He can kind of get lost, make some of a miss. It's good for him.
Yeah, it's great for him. I like what you said there. Sometimes he gets lost in the traffic a little bit, but get him out in the open field into some space. That plays to his strengths the best and keeps him out of it all the vehicle is off. You know, make him make someone miss in the open field.
That's Williams. And he's going to have the Chargers first down as they will get the 4th down conversion. That last catch from Beverly, folks, he's now gone over 300 yards receiving in this game. It is a game for the ages. They run left side. And they string that play up nicely. He stopped before he can turn upfield. No gain, 2nd down. They called his number a lot this afternoon. You wonder how much tread is left on those tires.
We certainly do, but I always think back to one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. And he's had a meeting with his running backs every year in the offseason and say, look, as many times as you're going to carry the ball, you should be able to carry it one more time. So make sure you get in shape.
So after the run for no gain, here's 2nd and 10. Back to throw. He's got it, and that's Keenan Allen. 5 yards, now it's 3rd and 5. After this, you're watching the NFL on EA Sports.
And with that, we retreat to a break. We're back with the final exciting quarter. Not much action, scoring, but there's a lot of action out there. And reaction to action. Baraki